up definitely. So if you only got these 2 negative marks on your credit report, having them taken off will do wonders, absolute wonders for your credit score. This person's sitting at 655. 35% of your credit score is calculated by how well you pay. So, plus a late payment on a mortgage, could drop your credit score by, wait for it, could drop your credit score by as much as 100 points. So 100 points, that is absolutely devastating no matter where your credit score sits. I don't care if you're sitting at a 650 or if you're sitting at a 750. If you're at a 750 and you miss a payment on a mortgage and your credit score drops down to 650, that's absolutely devastating. So maybe that's what happened with this particular person. They're sitting at 655. They seem to have had a decent credit history. They've just made 2 late payments. So they're sitting at 655. Maybe they did drop 100 points, and previously to that, they were in the excellent range at 755. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to write that goodwill letter to them, explaining that to them, and then hopefully they'll take that off for you as well. Now, what else could explain this low score? I mean, they're sitting at a 655. Like I just said, it doesn't seem like they've had any other issues, but maybe their credit card debt is high. There's no mention of that in this scenario. So maybe they have a high credit card debt. You've been paying the same minimums for what seems like forever and not getting anywhere. It's not coming down at all. You need to pay down your credit card debt to below 30% of the limits. Now do this for each of the credit cards and you will see your score soar. Do this for each of your credit cards overall, and for each of your credit cards, get them down to 30% and you will definitely see your score go up. Now, another issue that could be hurting this particular scenario and this particular person is a short credit history. So there's not a lot you can do to change this for the positive. Now what you can do is you can negatively affect your length of history by opening up too many accounts at the same time. So you can't do that. Do not go out and open up a bunch of accounts at the same time. Like I mentioned in the very first scenario, you do not want to do that. You don't want to go out and open up a bunch of accounts because it's going to shorten your length of history for your cards. And you can also negatively affect your length of history by closing old accounts. So you don't want to close old accounts. I don't care if they're old and you don't even know what a credit card is. If they're still showing on your credit report, they're reporting positive. You may not owe them a dime, but you've had it since 1983. You've had it since 2000. You want to make sure that you keep that account open. Closing that account could only hurt you, and it'll hurt you in 2 ways. It's going to shorten your length of history. It also is going to lower your limits, which could help, which actually could hurt your debt utilization as well. So you want to make sure that you keep those open as well. So that shortens. Now, there's one action that I can think of off the top of my head that can create the illusion, if you will, of a longer length of history besides time. So if you had time, then absolutely, you would have additional time and you would have a longer history. But you could become an authorized user on someone else's long-standing account. So say someone had a credit card they've had since 1983 or since 1999, and you become an authorized user on that account. You get the benefit of that length of history from having it from 1983 or 1999, whatever it is. You get the length of that. Now, I went into painstaking detail about authorized users on last week's show. So go check last week's show out so you can hear the full range of what I feel about authorized users, as well as I talked about cosigners last week. So go check out last week's show, the 800 Credit Score Man show. You go to iTunes and listen to it. Again, Google Play, and always at Spreaker.com. You can check them out. All right, so look, that is scenario number 2. You got the person that only had 1 late payment on their student loan, 1 late payment on their mortgage. You learned that it could drop your credit score by much as 100 points for having a 30-day late on your credit report, especially when you're dealing with the mortgage. So getting those negative marks removed by writing a goodwill letter to your creditor will absolutely help you out if your creditor agrees to go ahead and take those things off of your credit report. So, all right, look, we are like only 10 minutes left in the show already. I told you I was going to blow past what I usually do with the question of the day. So we're going to jump into the question of the day right quick. And of course, right before I do, I want to give another birthday shout out. I want to give a birthday shout out to Anderson White, better known as Andy Prep back in the day. He had a birthday earlier this week, so happy birthday to you, Anderson White. A very, very good person. You talk about a man that walks in the light. Anderson White is definitely that person, so happy birthday to you, Anderson. So let's jump into the question of the day. And question of the day is sponsored by none other than Cute as a Cupcake, Cupcakery and Bake Shop, where the cupcakes are more than just cute, they're delicious. Cute as a Cupcake is located in Maryville, Indiana, 2008 West 81st. Again, that's 2008 West 81st in Maryville, Indiana. Cute as a Cupcake. Get by there and check them out. All right, so the question of the day is brought to you by Keith. Keith, I don't know where Keith is from, so we're going to say from parts unknown. So Keith asked a very good question off of last week's show, basically. And we connected in the Facebook group Credit Score Comeback. So you guys join that group. It's great for discussion and knowledge. And, you'll see that this question actually came out of that group as well. So get to Credit Score Comeback on Facebook. Join that group so we can talk throughout the week. And the group is growing really, really fast. So jump on in. So Keith asked, when the original card holder adds you as an authorized user, will the credit card company run your credit first before approval? Now, I thought that was a great question. And the reason, because I went over this whole thing last week, except I did not go over anything like this. I actually never thought to even mention it to anyone that was thinking about becoming an authorized user, or the person that was allowing someone to be an authorized user on their account. So I thought it was a great question. So I never thought of it before. So thank you very much for bringing that to my attention, Keith. So the answer to your question was, when the original card holder adds you as an authorized user, will the credit card company run your credit first before approval? And the answer is no. The credit card company is not going to run your credit for approval. You, as the new signer, do not have to be concerned about being denied or getting a new inquiry or anything of that nature. So I'm glad that you asked that question, and I hope that that's definitely cleared up for you, because the answer simply is no. They will not run a credit report on you. Now, last week also, while doing the show, I neglected to mention that the original card holder will not have any negative effect by adding a signer either. So you won't have any negative effect by adding someone to your credit card account at all. So you wouldn't have to worry about that either if you are the person that's adding someone. The only negative that I can think of is if you gave the authorized signer the actual credit card and they used it irresponsibly and not in accordance with what you both agreed. So they went out and they used it and they refused to pay, or they used it and they ran up your credit over your 30% that you were trying to stay at so you can keep a good score. Then yes, that could be a negative for you. But if you're like me, and I said I did it for my son, I did not hand him that credit card. He just got the benefit of being the authorized user, and that credit card stayed in my pocket, in my wallet. So that's the only negative that I can think of when it comes to that as well. And then I also thought about one other thing as well. No one asked me this question, but I thought it might be worth mentioning as well. So you can have more than one person signed to the same account. So my kid and my wife are both signers on one of my credit cards, and it was done years apart. My wife became a signer years and years ago, and when my kid almost was of age, he became a signer on that very same account. So they both have credit cards, that same account with their own name on them that they can use if they need to. So I just wanted to mention that and throw that out there. So again, thanks a lot, Keith, from Parts Unknown. I appreciate you coming into the Facebook group Credit Score Comeback. Come on and join us at Credit Score Comeback, and so we can talk during the week. So, Keith, you are officially part of the 800 Credit Score Man Show family. Thank you very much. And again, the question of the day is brought to you by none other than Cute as a Cupcake, Cupcakery and Bake Shop, located at 2008 West 81st in Maryville, Indiana, where the cupcakes are more than just cute. They're delicious. Trust me. They are delicious. Trust me, trust me, trust me. All right, so let's get into the rest of the show. We got about 5 minutes left. I'm going to throw another shout out right here real quick. So John Harrigan, I want to give him a shout out. His birthday is on the 29th. So that's coming up on Sunday, I believe. It's the 29th. So happy birthday to you, John Harrigan. Happy birthday. It's one of my frat brothers, y'all. So yo to John. And so let's get into this last scenario before I got to get out of here. So this last scenario talks about somebody that's stuck. They've been stuck at the same credit score, round about the same credit score for a long time. Now, I'm going to say that if you think you're stuck at the same score all the time, that you're not checking it that often, because your credit scores fluctuate, and they fluctuate a lot. So they might go up 3 points and go down 4 points, or they might go up 20 points and then they might fall 15 points because things are going on behind the scenes. But if you think that you're stuck at the same number, or generally the same number, here are some things that you can do, and it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter if you had a good number, if you're at a 755, or if you're at a 555. It doesn't really matter if you're stuck at the same thing. So here's some things that you can do. First of all, you've got to make some positive effects to your credit score. You can't just let it sit and keep doing the same thing over and over. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So if you are, sitting at, let's say you're sitting at a 690, your score is real close to good and above the national average. So the scenario for this particular person that's stuck at the same credit score around the same time is this. They have 4 credit cards. They hold a balance on each of them. The credit card debt utilization is about 50%. Now remember again, you want to be at 30% or less. This person has a mortgage and this person has a student loan. So here's what you want to do in this particular situation. You've been sitting in the same place. One, probably because your debt utilization is higher than 30%. You got several credit cards. The people that have the best credit scores actually have 4 to 6 credit cards. Not necessarily that they're using them all, but they actually possess 4 to 6 open accounts in credit cards. So that's not necessarily a bad thing, but you're sitting over at that 50% debt utilization. So here's what you want to do to affect positive change in your account. You want to do a debt consolidation loan. So let's say you do a debt consolidation loan and you're going to get rid of your credit card debt by doing so. This would be an absolute positive. Now, I told you earlier that, you need to use your credit card. That's for establishing credit or reestablishing credit. This person already has credit. They're already at a decent score. So they don't necessarily need that thing to help boost their credit score. They're already at a 690. If this person goes ahead and gets a debt consolidation loan to get rid of those credit cards, then what's going to happen with them? They're going to obtain this loan. It's going to increase the positivity of his or her mix. So the mix is the type of accounts that you have. This person only had a mortgage, I believe. I forgot what they had. They had a mortgage and they had student loans. And then they had these credit cards. Getting a personal loan for this debt consolidation is going to increase their mix. Those are the different types of loans that you're going to have. And that is good for the credit bureaus to say, yes, this person can handle different types of credit. So that's going to be very, very good for them. And when you get that debt consolidation loan, that personal loan, it's an installment loan, you're getting rid of that credit card debt. So now your debt utilization goes from 50% to 0. So now you're down to 0 with your debt utilization. That's good for you, and that's going to be good for your credit score as well. This one simple transaction because you've added another account that is a positive, especially because it's a personal loan. You've taken